Hello everybody and welcome to episode 13 in our Meet the Cast video series. This is Monica Passley. She is part of the ensemble for Country Playhouse's production of Rent, and she is also filling the understudy role for the part of Mimi. Monica, thanks for spending some time with us.
Thank you.
Monica, if you had to give a brief synopsis of the show, Rent, to someone who wasn't familiar with it, how would you do that?
I think I would say that it's just a show about people and their lives and how they all kind of connect. Sort of how everything comes together even when you don't expect it to, and works out in ways that you didn't think that they would, but it turns out really good in the end.
Right. And when did you first become familiar with the show?
I first became familiar with Rent, I believe I was 11 or 12 years old. I was in it was 8th grade, and my mother's friend actually took me and her 2 daughters to see it at Jones Hall when it came through the first time, and I was blown away by it and went out and bought the soundtrack and haven't stopped listening to it since.
Right. And what have been your general impressions of this production so far?
I think that this production, well, it's funny, the way I was describing the actual story of the show, I think is sort of how this production came together. People who had no clue who the others were when we started, and our lives have all sort of intertwined just the way the characters do. We've all become sort of like a huge family, and it's just been a really great experience.
Yeah. And have you learned anything new about the show or realized anything since you've had a chance to do it that you might not have thought before?
I think in seeing it and listening to it, I really always really enjoyed the story and the music and everything, but actually being in it, it's a completely different feeling, and I feel like taking on each individual role that we're doing, be it a piece in the chorus or, one of the main company members, I think that the overall lesson that I've learned in this show is that each character has its own little world, and it's so much more deep than just watching it. Once you're inside it, experiencing it, I feel like each character grows into its own person. It's really neat.
And Monica, tell us a little bit about your acting background.
Gosh, my acting background, I've been doing this for a while now. I went to the High School of Performing Arts. In the music department there, I was a voice major and auditioned every year for all the shows there and started doing shows pretty much right outside of high school. I've been doing them one right after another, so
Right.
It's just been something I love.
And what is your very first acting memory?
My first acting memory, I was the Not Even a Mouse in The Night Before Christmas when I was probably about 6 years old, and I have a picture in my little gray suit with my ears and everything.
Very good. Not counting anybody in Rent, Monica, is there a role in musical theater that you would like to play more than any other?
God, I was dreading this question. I was actually really thinking about it after watching the other interviews, and there are so many roles that I think I would like to play. God, I don't know. I mean, obviously there's Elphaba and Wicked, and gosh, I've always wanted to. I've always wanted to be in Tick Tick Boom. It's a 3-person show, another Jonathan Larson show,
Right.
and the one female role in that. I've always wanted to play that role.
That's great. Monica, what is your favorite movie of all time?
Okay, this is so dorky, and nobody's even going to know it. It was an HBO movie when I was a child. It was called The Worst Witch. And I had every line memorized at 3 years old, and I can still recite them today.
Very good. Who was anybody famous in The Worst Witch?
Oh, gosh. I can't even remember her name, but it's the girl from The Craft who got all nuts, the really crazy one.
Right.
She was in that as a child.
Very good. Monica, what was your favorite TV show growing up?
My favorite TV show growing up was probably either Punky Brewster or Fraggle Rock.
Oh, two nice choices.
Yes.
Monica, are you a good dancer?
I act like I can dance.
That's good.
I don't know if I would call myself a good dancer,
So
but
you're
I
a good
do try.
actor.
I hope so.
Monica, would you rather have the ability to be invisible or the ability to read minds?
I think the ability to be invisible, and I thought a lot about this one too, because reading minds I think would drive me crazy. I don't always want to know what people are thinking about
Right.
me.
Yeah, that seems to be the general consensus, that nobody really wants to know.
Besides, if you're invisible, you can just sneak in and listen to conversations anyway
That's
if you
right.
really want to know what's going
That's
on.
right. Decide when you want to do that.
Yeah.
Monica, one final question. Why do you think the people watching this right now should come see this particular production of Rent?
This production of Rent is, there's something electric about the cast, I think. the people in this show all are so amazingly talented, and the voices and the acting are just so great. I mean, I backstage every night I'm watching, and I am blown away by something different every single night. So someone coming, even if they came every weekend, I think would notice something so completely different, yet so amazingly interesting, no matter what they were watching on stage.
Yeah, no, that's great. Monica, they can buy their tickets now, right, at www.countryplayhouse.org.
Yes.
We only have a few performances left. We're coming up near the end.
Yes, we are.
So, Monica, thanks for spending some time with us.
Thank you for having me.
And I hope everybody comes out to see us.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.